interception. Reno. What a remarkable drive, man. That's an All-American drive right here.
It's not exactly unwarranted. Like, when you have a guy as that electric.
The legend himself, the GOAT, Dre Crowell.
Where my warm bottle movement at?
That kills your argument right there.
Anything can happen. This game is not over. What's good, Relocation Football League fans? It's your boy Smitty here. We're without Rob today because he had to do some extra work, but we got Bill on the podcast as always with me, so it'll be us two talking over everything that went past this week. Of course, talking about the upcoming week and week 4, the schedule, the top 10 power rankings, everything you see here on the main page. When it comes to the Relo Buck upgrades, though, unfortunately, the application I was using to do the rolls on the stream is still not working for some reason. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to handle all of that after the stream at some time and get with those guys who paid for Relo Bucks. But, Bill, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good, man. Can't wait to talk about these games. First week of next gen. It's going to be some good stuff to go over.
Well, let's get right into it, man. First game, like you said, of next gen. It was the Desperados versus the Lancers. And, man, did the Desperados, once again, it didn't matter what generation it was, current or next, these guys are looking serious right now at the start of this season. Chase Mason's been on fire. Tavion Hall, of course, been on fire as he capped off that game with a 24-6 victory with 3 touchdowns. What you got to say about this this entire game?
I just think that it's impressive for the Desperados because, you know, if you have been following the league for the last couple of years, the Desperados went almost defeated 2 seasons ago. They made a nice little turnaround, right? But they were like 0-6 at one point. Then last year, sort of up and down, but they were more consistent. And then this year, it's like they're continuously getting better and better, and we're watching it unfold. And part of that reason is the guy right here in this picture, and that's Tavion Hall, man. He has really been the centerpiece of this offense, and it's allowed Chase Mason to just be himself and not have to control the game. And I think that's what's making Mason play so well right now, is that he doesn't have to be the end-all be-all for the offense. And on top of that, the defense has been playing great. The defense got after Mason in this game. They got a lot of pressure, got an interception, left him feeling uncomfortable, didn't allow the run game to really flourish at all for the Lancers. And it was just a sort of a landslide victory, I think, for the Desperados. And I came away really impressed.
Yeah, the Mason versus Mason, man. And honestly, I mean, the defense, like you said about the Desperados, did a fantastic job. Cole Cruz got out and had a better game, 94 yards on 6 catches. But, still, other than that, I mean, they couldn't get anything going. N03, very surprised he didn't touch the ball as much. I felt they should have definitely rotated and kind of balanced out the offense some more to make this more of a game, because they were definitely within this game, even though the final score ended up being what it was. But the Lancers just, they were just really keeping themselves one-dimensional. And the Desperados, of course, ate off that and ate up the clock, too. Look at it, 35 carries at Tavion Hall, and he took it all in stride, getting it done there, man. So let's go ahead and jump into this next game here. Following this one, man, record broken. It's about the 3rd or 4th record already this season of something being broken here. The Black Knights putting up the most points in RFL history on their rivals, the London Bulldogs, 60-27.
This was a game that, if you look at this score, you're like, wow, this was just an absolute horrible game for the Bulldogs, and the Black Knights just completely dominated. But it wasn't really like that the whole game. If you watch this thing from the opening snap to the end, this was actually a very competitive game up until the 4th quarter. It was 25-20 up until, I think, the final minute in the 3rd quarter, actually. And then, man, it's like the Bulldogs' witching hours started happening in the 4th quarter, because everything just went wrong. Timmy Merritt, I think he threw 3 interceptions on 3 straight passes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And those were, I believe, straight to Saquon Lattimore.
Yeah, he had 3 picks all himself, man. And then you look on the other side for the Black Knights, Langford Cloud. This is the Cloud that we all been wanting to see. Last year, we got a glimpse around this time, and he faded off. So if they can keep Cloud going, and this defense is like they were this past weekend, the Black Knights, they might be coming back for a redemption tour here. Holden Wolf might still have a little bit left in the tank, as against what I thought anyway, because I just assumed that this Black Knights team, they were ready to ride off in the sunset and maybe start a rebuild. But, man, this game told me otherwise. It was really impressive. I don't know what happened in the fourth, but it was just all Black Knights, and it made this game seem like it was the Bulldogs. There was no way the Bulldogs could ever pull it off, but it really wasn't that bad for the Bulldogs. And it sucks because the score makes it look that bad, but it was just that one quarter of just downpour of negativity sent the Bulldogs' way, and the Black Knights were just there to capitalize.
Yeah, I'll tell you how it went bad. I'm gonna just bell the Bulldogs here for the fourth quarter because that was and Timmy Merritt. I don't know, we seen him do this from time to time in games, but that was a pretty bad performance. But I think we have to give the guy who got those interceptions credit. I think this young kid, Saquon Lattimore, might just be a lockdown guy in the future. I mean, the guy's only 22 years old, was a submitted player. His player is not around. But, the guy, his creator's not around. But, the way he was jumping on those passes, and he was jumping on, it didn't matter what receiver it was. He jumped in front of Saul Leckie. He jumped in front of their top receiver, Stanley Whitehead, showing that he can lock up some of the best. And, he's not the highest overall guy. But, the way he performed in that game, I think we're just seeing the beginning of a star in the making on that defensive side of the ball for the Black Knights. We already saw them building up that defensive side of the ball, working, with Roland Carter out of UCF in his past draft. And, we know he's a low overall, but he's also already coming in playing well, captain already.
He got that opening pick?
Yeah, got the pick. Yep, exactly. So this was a great addition for the Black Knights. And this was an area that they needed to address. Last season, their offense was always, pretty much throughout the career of the Black Knights, throughout the entire franchise and seasons that they've played in, their offense has been able to put up points and they've been able to make plays. It's just the defense at times just hasn't been as consistent. And now you see these young guys out here making plays. I think they're still a little bit in rebuild mode, but it's getting there. So I really like what I'm seeing out of the Black Knights. And just like you said, man, for the Bulldogs, this wasn't a bad game for them until that fourth quarter. You just got to really chalk that up to Timmy Merritt folding there in the fourth. Got to play a bell right there for Merritt with those 4 interceptions, man, total in that game. So, but other than that, I still think they did a pretty good job, mixing things up, but just could not hold on. But shout out. You was about to say that for the donations. I was just
yeah.
So shout out to McCall for the $10 donation. Says keep up the great work, fellas. RFL family. Hashtag RFL family and hashtag League First. And the $20 donation from Darius Dollars. Says, I want to donate to $20. Shout out to you guys, man. Put hashtag ReloGang in the chat. You guys know what it is. Let's go ahead and move on to the next game here. All right. So the next game, Voyagers. Man, this is a team that has started out the season really hot. Coach Baker. We already knew that this next season, this was going to be the year to watch out for Houston because the indicator strongly came from last season on how he was able to turn this Voyagers team around. Now it looks like they're all the way turned around, ready to compete for a championship already. They went up against the River Hogs here, and of course they were at home, and they got it done. River Hogs didn't make it easy, but the Voyagers still, man, making plays happen. Adam Okoye looking like defensive player of the year already at this point, and they get it done here 43-31.
I feel like a skipping record at this point. It's every week we're saying the Voyagers with another big win and showing that they are a serious contender in the ARC. And here it is again. Like, yes, River Hogs got some points, but if you watch this game, it was the Voyagers. I never saw a point where I felt that the Voyagers didn't have it in the bag. It was just, they gave up points here and there to the River Hogs and they tried to keep it competitive. But, Baker's got these guys playing locked in right now. Glenn Hay is playing like a machine. The running game, who do you want? Who do you want to deal with in the running back room? You got John Walton, you got Terrence Ward who had 110 here. Then you got what's the guy he just drafted? Gunnar Witt. Yeah, like
you don't know your own Wisconsin boy, man.
Hey, there's so many running backs, man. You can't be belling me over something like that. That's some bull.
That's your squad, man. You don't know about Gunnar Witt?
He's got like 7 running backs. What do you want me to do? But and like you said, man, Okoye, this guy, for the guys who've been here, was a backup safety for a season or two.
He was, if I'm not mistaken, he was in the first draft, which was back in season 2, and he was playing safety all the way up until last season. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Last season he was even playing safety.
Yeah,
Moved him to
it
linebacker
wasn't
this
until
year.
this year that he moved him officially. It was the sub linebacker position he had him in, and it's like Baker came in last year, and it took him a little bit to understand what he was doing, and then all of a sudden, like midway through the season, you just saw like, oh, I know how to do this, and then the Voyagers ever since then they have just been on a tear, and it's just carried into this season beautifully. And I mean this right now, this is the team to beat. In the
Yeah.
ARC to me. Like they are the number one contender at this point for me until somebody proves otherwise.
Yeah, I definitely got to agree with that right now. It's such a great start to this season. And we've been saying this for years. I feel like the Voyagers have been a very underrated team in the RFL for quite some time. And the main reason is because they could compete with anybody throughout any season, you name it. They was pretty much within every game that they played in. But they just did not have the defense clicking on all cylinders right now like Coach Baker's got them. So now that they got the defense and the offense is the same, if not more productive than they've ever been, this is a very dangerous team to beat here. I mean, they beat the Celtic Tigers 31-10. You know, they beat the Red Dragons, last year's Relo Bowl champs. And then they come in here, guys can say Hunter Mackey's washed up, but Hunter Mackey, we've seen what he can do in games. In every game he's played in so far this season, at least to me, I don't feel he's been bad. But I mean, they beat the Riverhawks too, with Dre Shivers still out there balling, 3 rushing touchdowns for him. And so that just tells me that this Voyagers team, this is the golden year right now for them to really cash in on this, because I mean they are off to a great start. They have all their players set up. If I'm not mistaken, most of these guys for the most part are young. You know, so you got Glenn Hay, of course, getting up there a little bit in age, but you know, he's still going to be around maybe a couple more years. You got Douglas Straighton, wide receiver. Not sure what's going to go with that, but this team is ready to is playoff ready right now. And if Coach Baker could keep this up all season and keep that morale building for that team, this is going to be an extremely difficult team to beat. I want to give the shout out to, of course, Dre Shivers for his performance. Like I said, with the 3 rushing touchdowns. And you had Sylvester Leach balling too, had a deep ball. Can't believe he got shoestring tackled. Thought he was going to take it to the house, but it was a great performance by the Riverhawks too. They fought all the way till the end, but the Voyagers getting it done, coming out on top.
Yeah, I actually got a question because I see Baker in the chat, and like, yes, this was a great game, and you shouldn't hang your head. But if I know Baker a little bit from my time talking to him, I bet he's still a little bit salty on how he let this offense go off a little bit, though.
Yeah. I seen him say still rough week.
It was,
for this
but
week.
don't hang your head, man. You had a great game.
Definitely.
It happens.
What's going on, Jacob McDonald? Got McDonald in the chat. Shout out to everyone here. We got Pat McNeil, as we're going to call him. We're going to make a little segment, man, when he hits me with some fun facts. Going to call it Facts with Pat, or Fun Facts with
awesome.
Pat.
There we go.
We're definitely going to do that. Definitely going to do that. I got a couple of fun facts that he handed off to me. Him and Amir, actually. He told me what Amir found something out, too. So we'll say that at the end of the stream. But shout out to everyone here watching. If you haven't already, make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the RFL, man. It's just the beginning of the season. This is week 3. We're recapping, about to get into week 4. But to continue week 3's recap, we had the NRC matchup between the Diablos and the Shamrocks. Diablos and Coach Forbes right now is undefeated, and it's the opposite for the Shamrocks. Really didn't think they were going to get out to as rough as a start as this. They lost to the Monarchs the week before, and the Diablos ended up shutting them down. They were scoreless in terms of touchdowns, 21-6.
This is a tale of 2 teams going in the exact opposite spectrum. 2 years ago when I joined, the Diablos were sort of, I mean, they had a good couple of weeks, but they got, as we all know, they sort of got torn apart and they just never really recovered. And at that time, the Shamrocks they weren't like a contender, but they made the playoffs that year. And the following season, we started seeing little sparks out of the Diablos. And then we started seeing some inconsistency with the Shamrocks. They end up missing the playoffs. Of course, the Diablos didn't make it either, but you saw the potential there. And now this year, it's like the Shamrocks are just completely washed out, and the Diablos have finally made it click. Because to me, it seems like the Diablos have, they've arrived. They got their veteran signal caller when Aaron Pritchett. They have Axel, who is now healthy and is looking like a future star right now. He has been a key piece to this offense this season. Piku McCullough doing his thing. This offense and the defense is playing tremendous. So I think they had 7 sacks in this game against Tom Wilson. That's
down.
not easy to do against a guy that can move like that. But it's just the Diablos are on the rise. I'm liking what I'm seeing with Coach Forbes. I think he's got these guys playing really well. And the Shamrocks, man, they got some soul searching to do right now, because I don't know if it's Wilson's the problem. I don't know what else you can blame it on. They have the running backs, they have the receivers. I know the defense is not the greatest, but you got to have better stats than 17 to 33 and 2 picks. That's just you can't have that, especially when you're a dual threat. What are you doing with the ball, man? Like Gadsden can't do it all. Roland Woods can't catch his own passes. You got to find a way to use your legs against your advantage and find ways to make the plays work through the passing game. And right now, Tom Wilson's just not doing it. I love Tom Wilson. I don't know what's going on with this guy, but the Diablos made him look silly, and it's going to be really critical the next couple of weeks for these Shamrocks to try to find a way to get a victory or two and find some consistency because they're heading down a dark path. And for the Diablos, they just got to keep doing what they're doing, man, because things are working. Forbes has got these guys clicking, and it's exciting to see finally in Mexico City for these guys to be able to be competitive again.
Yeah, I got a different perspective a little bit on this when it comes to Tom Wilson. I honestly feel like the defense, you got to give the credit to the defense entirely for shutting it down and also discredit the offensive line of the Shamrocks because they were not blocking whatsoever up front for him. He was getting smacked instantly, and he couldn't find any time to even find open receivers. And when he did, he was able to throw the ball off. And when he couldn't, he felt the need to have to rush. And so when you can get a dual threat in that situation, you pretty much got the game on lock if he can't find ways to score touchdowns, which he was not able to find at all throughout the entire game. So definitely this game's got to go to the Diablos defense. Aaron Pritchard, played himself a pretty decent game. And of course, like you said, Madison Axel, he's looking like a young star for sure. This is just his second year, I believe. Yeah, just his second year in the RFL at the running back position. He even got an upgrade after this. So he's going to be even more deadly. He got a +3 towards his change of direction. So now he's going to be even more shifty. And, if he's starting out the season like this, that might be a top back to watch out for. Could see him finishing somewhere in between, especially with these numbers, maybe within the top 10 or top 5 in rushing yards, at least for the conference this season. And so everything, like you said, is just moving in the right direction for the Diablos. Shamrocks need to find ways to get things working in their favor. And I honestly felt like what the issue is just the offensive line. Got to do a better job protecting Wilson.
Yeah, I agree there. I just think that when you are a quarterback who is allowed to move and can move, yes, you're going to have bad O lines, and I'm not going to discredit the O line for not being the problem because I'm sure they are, but you're the veteran quarterback. You need to find ways to make that happen. You got plenty of targets, and that's what I was trying to get at. Like you have 2 solid backs that can go out of the backfield if you need them. You have a good tight end. You have multiple receivers. Man, call some audibles. Get some short routes going.
The main thing about that is that's why I really credited the Diablos defense because even with these weapons, they really were not able to get open. He didn't have any time. And even with him scrambling, because I don't have his scrambling stats here. I usually just go off of memory. I don't have the rushing stats here. I only pretty much have what I see here on the screen in my memory of watching it. But I think he did have himself a great day also still on the ground. But we already see this season, dual threat quarterback, he can't get it done just running all the time. And the Diablos forced him to do that. And they just took advantage of the Shamrock, shut it down, man. I just think this all the way kudos to the Diablos for that defense for doing that to him.
Yeah, I was one of the talking points I forgot to mention too is that Yost and Staten are forming quite the duo right now.
Oh yeah, great draft picks right there. Let's go ahead and move on to the next game. Unfortunately, don't got Rob with us, but let's talk about his Cougars, man. Barely surviving this one at home to the Miners. The Miners really put up a decent fight, man. Really love what I saw Damon Emanuel. This guy's looking like a pure beast himself as well. And Geno Gannon kind of got a little bit rattled for the first time in his pro career, trying to do too much with his legs, but he was able to at least control it enough, only 1 fumble, and was able to walk out with the 1-point victory, 27-26.
Yeah, this game much closer than a lot of people wanted to assume was going to happen, and me, myself included. I assumed that the Cougars were going to win this handedly, and I think everybody in the community thought that. And that's no offense to the Miners, but it's just facing the reality that the Cougars are a much more well-built team at this point in time. But man, the Miners had a great plan. They found ways. obviously on the ground with Damani Manuel, through the air, Chumlee 300 yards, two touchdowns. They found ways against this Cougars defense to keep themselves in the game, and it came down to a final drive really to seal the game for the Cougars. So like something that I know Mix, if he was here, would harp on is like he wants to know what's going on with his defense. Why is his defense not being able to stop these things? He knows it, and I think we even talked about this last week. And I know he's probably racking his brain trying to figure out what he can do to get these guys to play the way they're supposed to. But it was just sometimes, some days you're not going to have the kind of shutdown ability that you normally have. And when you have a rookie quarterback, you're not always going to get a guy who only misses 3 passes, throws for 300 and runs for 100. And it showed in this game. Geno is very talented. He can get the job done. I'm sure he's going to be a star, but you're going to go through rough patches. And I think that's sort of what we saw here, which led to somewhat of the closer game because, the defense was unable to stop the Miners altogether. And on the offensive side of the ball, you didn't have your normal firepower because, Geno's going to go through those rookie moments. So it was just a perfect storm for the Miners to almost pull away with that victory. But, Cougars eventually pulled it out because they are just a better team. I just hope that going forward, the Cougars get it figured out eventually because, one of these times it could cost you a game. And, in this league, we all know one wrong game can really mess up your whole plans for a season. So just be something to keep an eye on the next few weeks.
Yeah, and just to harp on more about this Cougars defense that you were talking about, I mean, this is a defense, they always, at least so far this season, they start out extremely strong. They start out, they're great, they're shutting everything down. Second half hits, I don't know if it's stamina, fatigue, or something, and they're just not covering things. They're just not able to hold it down like they were in the first half. And that's kind of what happened here in this game. The Miners, were able to ground and pound it a little bit there. It's usually hard to run on the Cougars, and they still did a pretty decent job here. But Damani Manuel was just a grown man out there, to be honest. He just looks like he's a great running back. He's going to be tough to stop him. Then, of course, Chumlee, I think he had a very solid game. The percentage wasn't high in terms of completions, but, he still took care of the football. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And Geno Gannon, I mean, if it wasn't for him, the Cougars wouldn't have won this game because, the way that he was scrambling, even though he was a majority of the offense taking off most of the time and everything, he had himself a couple rushing touchdowns and, of course, the game-winning rushing touchdown, which was great, man. It almost got stripped in the final sec, so that would have been 2 fumbles.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, so he got lucky there, but hey, able to get it done, pull it out for his team. This is why they drafted him. And that's really all I got to say for this one. Just a great game between Coach Dunn and Coach Roby, and it really came down to the wires. One of the top games of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to the next one. Now it's your game here, Bill, man.
Oh,
and
boy.
What a game this was. I mean, literally, score 23-7 all the way to the fourth quarter. Everybody seeing what's going on with Everett, not Everett Bradley, Jared Cunningham. Started out hot. Next thing you know, he gets benched. In comes Everett Bradley. And Everett Bradley leads the Explorers to a comeback win over the undefeated Gunners at the time, scoring 20 points in the fourth quarter to come out on top 27-23, man. What more do you want to break down just talking about your team? We're going to talk more about Everett Bradley, so if
Sure.
So we probably don't say too much on him until we get to that segment, but what's your overall thoughts on that game?
The couple of things I wanted to touch on here is, we saw how this game played out. It was a dogfight for us first through the third quarter because we just couldn't get out of our own way, it seemed. And I think a lot of the reason that it seemed it was so one-sided and there were so many scores going on is because, for one, Jared Cunningham played very bad. Obviously, we all know this. He had the very promising opening drive and then all of a sudden just fell flat on his face. And my defense is very good defense, but a defense cannot continue to get short yardage situations, no rest, and expect to have solid play every drive, especially against a loaded offense like the Gunners have. You got Jabri Jackson, who can outthrow you and also outrun you. You have Ronnie Nickens, Ray Jr., Carlton Scruggs, who had a great day, DeAndre Cahan, What is it? Anthony Rutledge?
Yeah, Anthony Rutledge. Yeah.
And yeah, Rutledge. Hey, then Ronnie Cam, Malcolm Smith. They got so many weapons. You got to pick your poison. And adding the element that Cunningham just couldn't seem to get out of his own way after the first drive, I think it just made the defense sort of implode. But really, if you look at this game, the defense played actually pretty well, man. Yeah, we gave up 23 points, and yes, Jackson had over 100 yards on the ground. But if you've watched the games, if you know how we play the game, it's almost impossible to stop a running quarterback when they are good like Jabri Jackson. They just it's not in the coding. There's nothing that us as coaches can really do a whole lot to stop a guy from running if he wants to run. And Jabri did just that. And he was the whole offense. But everywhere else, 207 yards, that's not much for a passing, especially in any pro league. We didn't allow the running game itself outside of Jabri to really flourish. And we just needed somebody to be able to come in and at least be competitive for us. And that's what Bradley, ended up providing for us in the fourth quarter. And it's unfortunate because if anybody was able to see the preparation that we do in the offseason, which nobody sees our sim games and nobody sees our practice sessions because we're not going to show that stuff. But man, every single thing that I watched, every playbook, every game, every situation, Cunningham outperformed Bradley in every single one of them. There was no other way I can put it. I was completely convinced. I don't know if it was fool's gold. I don't know if it's even on the last gen, like the gen switch wasn't the issue.
Before this goes away, shout out to Christian Williams for the $10 total donation there, man. Says look at Bill, all inspirational.
I appreciate it, Chris. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like I thought Cunningham was going to be the guy, and maybe he can be someday, but it's a very apparent that he's not right now. So we'll address Bradley later, but it's a pretty apparent who's going to be the starting quarterback for the foreseeable future for the Columbus Explorers.
Yeah, I mean, it was just an all-around great game, and I agree with you all the way. I think that this game with Worrell would have definitely probably been in the bag from the get-go because I feel that your defense honestly had the Gunners in check since the game started. And you guys forced Jabri Jackson, just like the last game we just went over there with Tom Wilson. You guys forced Jabri Jackson to have to make plays on his legs, which, is, of course, playing into his strength. But you guys never gave him the option to have a receiver out there to bail him out of just trying to make all the plays for himself. In some games he can win a game by himself. This still was a very close game. But, if you have no running game at that, I don't even think any running back had 20 yards on the ground. So the Gunners were absolutely shut down from start to finish. For the most part on offense. There's only Jabri Jackson out there. We know he can win games for the most part by himself, but there's going to be some games you just can't do it. All that was needed was, an offensive spark, man. Started out right, like you said, with Cunningham, and then just fell from there. And then Bradley coming in and just getting the tempo back where it should have been, moving the ball down the field, looking like he's been there before, which, if I'm not mistaken, him and Cunningham has had more pro starts than him.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's been in this position less, and he comes out here and leads this team as if he was Worrell the whole time. So I mean, I honestly just feel like that was just a great come from behind story, and it was great just to see that unfold. And the Gunners got to do a better job. They got to do a better job, especially when it comes to running the ball. They didn't run the ball enough. They really did not run the ball enough. I know the run game for the most part was shut down, but you got a power back there. With Ronnie Nickens, I think they were giving Ray Jr. way too many carries. They need to get more. Jr. didn't do too bad either, but they just need to make something happen with Nickens more, which, we felt the direction they were going to be going here. But unfortunately, tried to go pass heavy here in this one. And I have to give you guys, of course, the credit, man. Shut it down. There's no positives to really say too much about the Gunners. They were supposed to lead and come out on top with this win without a Worrell in the picture. So, tough loss there for them. Hopefully they bounce back next week.
Yeah, and talking about the running game a little bit is with Nickens, he's the kind of guy that you have to feed him. You know what I mean? Like you got to feed him for him to get going, and they're not going to do that then he's going to be just like he was in Sacramento, unfortunately. So hopefully they can figure out a way to get him more involved like that in the future.
Yeah. All right, so moving on, T-Birds, man, they came back, man. This was their second RFL game. The first one, it was still a good game that they had against the Shamrock, not the Shamrock, the Snowhawks. We know how that went, LC3 with those crucial fumbles at the end of the game. But, the defense played good then, but this was T-Birds' defense in this game. They absolutely shut it down. And another thing I was very impressed with was LC3. I mean, he didn't scramble one time, sat in the pocket, was delivering absolute dots, and the defense were scoring points as they usually do, and so was he, and they get the job done. On the road in Orlando, beating the Wizards in another blowout game for them and Coach Rummel, 42-16.
Yeah, on one hand, man, I'm not really surprised at all. But on the other hand, I am. Reason for me being not surprised is I've seen what the Thunderbirds can do firsthand, second hand, third hand. I've seen it every way. I've seen what this defense can do and what the offense can do when they're in a groove. So to see them have a huge win like this, even on the road, is not that surprising. But I am surprised because the team they're doing it against, the Wizards, this is not a bad team, man. I just don't know what's going on with them right now. The like you mentioned, they had the blowout in week 1. They go out and they get that NFL bye week 2. They come back here and it's another, huge shutout like this. And this team is just not a team that you expected to be in this situation right now. Last year, they were one of the final 4 teams in the NRC. I think we all can agree that they were the third best team, running up for almost second best team last year when they were the Marshals. And they really didn't do a whole lot to make their team worse or to get, astronomically better. I just assumed they were going to come in and pick up right where they left off, but something's not working right now. I don't know if it's the team change. Like, I know we've been joking about it in the streams, but what else can we say? It's still the same quarterback. They have a better running back. They have the same receivers. They have the same tight end. They have the same defense. Maybe one guy I think left. Was it Scipio? I think ended up going to Dublin or something. Or no, didn't he go to Toronto?
Yeah, he went to Toronto.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, this is still a team that had 19 or 20 of their 22 starters from last year, and it's just they seem like a whole different team. They seem a complete shell of themselves. And I know Coach Rummel is probably beating himself up trying to figure it out. I hope he can. But man, this is tough for the team, and it's going to be every loss that they take like this is going to be harder to come back from, as with the morale system.
Yeah.
Your guys are going to start playing worse. They're not going to have the same energy. But, this is also what you expect the Thunderbirds to do. The Thunderbirds are an incredibly talented team. And if LC3 can throw the ball like this is the one knock I've had for this offense from the time I've started talking about the RFL. LC3 is pretty good. He can run the ball, but come on, man, you got to throw the ball better. And he did this game, and he has no receivers. Like, no offense to the guys he has left, but let's be honest. He had a trio of receivers just 2 seasons ago, and now almost all of them are gone. And he showed out this game against a very talented defense at that. So that's promising for the Thunderbirds and scary for the rest of the NRC if LC3 can figure out how to throw the ball instead of run the ball, because that takes away the only problem they had, and that's him getting hurt every year. So huge win for the Thunderbirds, man, and that's a statement win after the loss in week 1. But I'm feeling it for Coach Romo right now, and I hope that the Wizards get something figured out, because this can't be fun to go through.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal performance by the Thunderbirds. Once again, like I said, the Wizards, and I was just about to harp on that. I'm glad you did. When you take 2 blowout losses, especially in all RFL games up to this point, it, like you said, it's extremely hard to come back from that with that morale low. You got to have a significant win somewhere soon down the line or something. I mean, these guys got to get something going. And, Rummel could even finally find something for next week, put in the right game plan. But if these guys are already feeling defeated for the season and they're not making the plays, it's going to be a long season for Coach Rummel and the Wizards. But, the Thunderbirds, I can't really say but too much about it. Just being the Thunderbirds, man, shutting down Cornell Mickens to just 15 yards on the ground. They didn't run him a lot either, but, still 15 yards on 9 carries. I mean, that was absolute shutdown. I mean, they let Agramonte throw a decent amount, but for the most part, Agramonte was throwing that ball away. I mean, that pressure was coming in hot. He took 3 sacks, all from the same guy, Max Moore, who won NRC Defensive Player of the Week. And, they just went out here and had themselves a great showing. Definitely want to see if this continues here. And the biggest story is, let's see if LC3 can keep it going like this without his receivers, because we already know who he's playing next week, and we'll get to that. But moving on to the next game, how about this one? Talking about scramblers, on how they're unstoppable at times. We see how they can definitely cost you a game, but we did not see that at all with Matt Jones. Matt Jones looked like the perfect dual-threat quarterback in this game at home in San Antonio, Texas, against the Sentinels, and he pulled out the victory by 5 points, 31-26.
This was another really competitive and very entertaining game, and that reasoning was because of Matt Jones. And I'm not going to discount Javonte Gilliam, because he had a great day too. Maybe not the yardage production, but he did have 3 touchdowns. And Demetrius George, I think it's Demetrius, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's the leading receiver on the day. This team is built to run the ball and use their running backs and their quarterback, and right now it's working for them. They're 3-0. This was a big win for them, because the Sentinels are obviously a very talented team and are always considered a contender in the ARC no matter what's going on, because we know Coach Armstrong knows what he's doing. There's a great team that he's got there in Orlando, but the Dreadnoughts have been building up. Coach Frankie has been doing a really good job of finding new talent, building upon the guys he has, and he has now invested fully into Matt Jones, and it's starting to work. I do think, though, that, and this is just me tempering expectations, Matt Jones had an incredible day on the ground. He didn't mess it up in the air, but like you said before, man, it seems that this year the quarterbacks that are running the ball are sometimes being the reason that teams are faltering on offense because of, fumble issues, being tired and getting hurt, whatever the case is. I just want to see Matt Jones come out and just light it up through the air on a consistent basis. Right now, he's playing great in the system that they have, and if they can keep running it that way, that's awesome, because giving it to Gilliam, using George, running it out of the backfield, converting the downs that they need to convert from him, that's awesome. I'm excited to see if he can make that next step as a passer to add to his running ability, because that's when the Dreadnoughts are going to be a very dangerous team in the ARC. Not that they aren't already, but if he can find a way to sort of master, not maybe master, but elevate his passing ability, it's gonna be dangerous for anybody facing the Dreadnoughts.
Yeah, and shout out to Coach Frankie himself, the $5 donation. Got what kind of a dog or a cat? It says number 1. Either way, appreciate the message.
I don't know what the heck that is.
But yeah, and if there was one thing I can say about the dual threat, I mean, we already know. I agree, definitely agree. If once they are able to develop Matt Jones as a passer, they are going to be they're going to have an elite offense. A quarterback makes a huge difference if he can do everything right. But one thing I will say is, if you have a dual threat quarterback, and if there's any way that you want him to play as a dual threat quarterback, it was like Matt Jones here in this game. When it came to running, now he still was a little bit off when it came to passing and everything, but the decisions he made running was almost better than what I've seen any dual threat so far this season do this year. We didn't see any weird situations on where he was doing it too much and situations didn't matter. It seemed like every time he took off, he needed to. It was the perfect decision. I also like the play calling, a couple of read options. Every time they called the read option in that game, it was called to perfection and crucial downs. He was able to even get a rushing touchdown off of that towards the goal line. And so it's just perfect game planning, perfect everything for the Dreadnoughts here in this game. They played good defense, got pressure there to DWJ. It's the great games too from the Sentinels. Got to give them their props too. They were battling back and everything. It's just two great game plans, putting together a real tightly contested game. And another thing, the last thing I want to say, man, is how I feel about the Dreadnoughts. I mean, of course, I have no favorite team in the league. I don't.
You lie.
But my favorite, I don't. I have no favorite team in the league in terms of like who I'm biased towards or nothing. I'm not biased towards any team. I don't care. I just want to see good games and good storylines and every player that's good, be respected, which is why I'm high on Dre.
Uh-huh.
But
Uh-huh.
the Dreadnoughts, they have never had a quarterback that was consistent. That's the only main area that they are missing, is a consistent. They've been missing it throughout the entire franchise. You think back about the quarterbacks they had. They had Phil Philly starting from season 1 all the way up to season 3. He goes into free agency. Nobody ever signs him. That's the end of his career. Then the last 2 seasons after that, we're out here testing out other quarterbacks like McBride, McBriss, both of those guys. Even threw in, I believe, Matt Jones one time. It didn't work out, but then Matt Jones getting his opportunity last year, completely taking over the position. And I love the progress that we're seeing out of this kid. I really love the progress that we're seeing out of Matt Jones. And like you said, that's a key point for the Dreadnoughts. Get Matt Jones right, and this is going to be a dangerous team as they are every year. But they're going to be even more dangerous and tougher to beat if their quarterback is also slinging the ball. He's got to build his connection up with KJ, man. They got a beast out there. They got a beast out there, man. Got to get him the ball.
What was his stats this game? Do we even know?
I don't have those on tap with me, but he only had like 3 catches. 3 catches. Yeah, I think he had less than 50 yards. So yeah,
you got to get that guy involved, man.
Got to. And he also got an increase after the game. So he's a whole 89 overall receiver out there. And it's not like they're not trying to get him the ball. It's just that it seems every time Matt Jones tries to throw to him, he misses. I don't know what's going on there, but he definitely cannot be missing a 6'7" tall target like that. You got to connect on him. Got to be able to connect on those passes.
You don't even have to be that good to throw the ball to him.
You don't. Just get just somewhere
throw it
near
out there. I mean, look at what he's like the Calvin Johnson of our league almost. Like he's just like a freak athlete, you know?
Yeah.
Like
if there's any RFL player to compare him to just coming out of the draft period, would be your guy, CJ Robinson. I mean, he's got the speed.
Except he's taller.
And he's taller. So you got to utilize. That's like not using CJ. You know, like not
and like
getting
you know,
CJ
and it's and I can understand, you know, because I'm assuming Frankie. I haven't seen really much for the comments catching up to where we're at because obviously we're ahead a little bit, or they're behind, I should say. But you know, Frankie's going to say, you know, hey, yeah, we're still winning though, and I get it. But it's going to come a time when you're going to want to be able to rely on your best playmaker through the air, and if you don't know how to play him properly, you're not going to be able to rely on him in that time. And that's what I think Smitty's trying to get at here is you got to be able to know how to get him involved even when the game might not call for it, because that's going to be key at some point this season. It's going to be key with Cam Jones, and if he's not on point, it might hurt the team that game. And with a guy like I just said, Matt Jones has got to start taking that next step to the passing level. There's no better way for a young guy to try to build confidence and throw to a 6'7" freak athlete that runs like a 98 speed. And it's going to just make him better. So hopefully they can figure that out. And one thing I was going to add when you were talking about his running before, the one thing I saw from him that for the most part we saw, but some guys were sort of hesitant, is he was committed, man. Every time he wanted to run, he was gone. There was no dancing in the pocket, no trying to find a little lane in the middle of the pile and maybe change his mind up. He's like, I'm running, I'm gone, and that's it. I'm not waiting for nothing else. I don't care if you're about to come open 5 yards downfield. I'm taking off with it, and I like that out of him. I just want to see him pass it more.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to the next game, the Crusaders versus the Tigers. The Tigers, this was the last game to finish off the week. Tigers get their first win of the season. And Crusaders, man, they had a rough one here. A lot of penalties in this game. And the Tigers and Billy Johnson, man, getting his first win as a starter, 28-22.
Hey, man, I need me a bell here for the Crusaders, man.
Gotcha.
And the reason for that is I don't want to take anything away from the Tigers because they are a great team. Are not a great team, but they are a great up and coming team. They have some solid talent that they just are trying to build around. And I knew this. They just get a little discounted because of the teams that they have to play around, like myself, the Barons, the Thunderbirds. They don't get much credit, but this is a game that the Crusaders should have won. All right. Yeah. There's no other way to put it. You are the defending NRC West champs. This team is the 4th place finisher in the NRC North. You had a chance to win this game. And honestly, I don't think it should have been up for debate. Like, yes, the Tigers have a talented team, but this, with the caliber of team the Crusaders are supposed to be, they should have won this game. And I just don't know what's going on, because Wakefield is looking really confused right now. He
Yeah.
To me in this game, he just didn't look like he knew what was going on. Like, am I playing a game right now? I don't know, because 30 of 58 doesn't tell me much about what your mental state is. 2 picks, yeah, he threw for 300 yards, but
No
it
tutties.
yeah, nothing. No touchdowns. This was I just was really disappointed. And where is Elijah Bentley, man? Where is Elijah Bentley?
Yeah.
What is going on here? This guy last year, I swear, was averaging 200 yards a game and 3 touchdowns. And now it's like he can barely see the field. Like, did he make somebody mad? I don't get it. But Wakefield's not playing smart. He needs his guy, and Bentley is his guy. Get him the ball. You can't be, the NFC West is a division that there's 4 teams that could win that thing. All of these teams none of them are extremely overpowered, except maybe the Snowhawks when they play to their full potential, but they're all very talented. One wrong game and can send you your whole season through a loop. And right now, with a loss like this, those guys are just waiting. I know Mitchie and Mike are in the chat right now, and I'm sure they're just like, yeah, nice loss here in week 3 against a team you should have beat. Let us go out and get a win here against some teams that we should beat, and now you're going to be stuck behind us trying to climb your way back to the top. So, yeah, I'm sorry to go in hard, man, but when you're a division defending champ, and you come in against the basement team in this division, and you can't compete on offense when your offense should be light years better than what it has been, I got to call you out, man. So I hope that I hope the Crusaders figure it out, and I hope Bentley finds his way back on the field, because if they don't, it's going to be a bad season in San Diego. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, and you got to, man. This is what the podcast is for. That's why they got guys like Stephen A. Smith and all these dudes out there, talking. You got to give them the real. You got to talk. And I agree. I agree with everything. The Crusaders definitely should have won this game. It doesn't matter if you're on the road. Honestly, when you look at this game, I chalk it up, and I have to come at the coach. It's to the coaching, the game plan. I'm not sure what it was. You got the bell there, but I'm not sure what it was coming into this. Like you said, what was going on with Bentley? Why were the offense running certain type of plays and situations? Like, they got Marshall Eli going, but where's the main target? Elijah Bentley should be all over the field. We saw him all over the field last year. Like you said, guy got injured. He could have easily broke wide receiver records had he not got injured. And now you're just seeing him like really nowhere moving around. He's just standing on the outside, and sometimes just not even in places that I feel he should be. And honestly, this is a team, like you said, that should really be getting it done on the offensive side of the ball. I'm not going to lie here. The defense of the Crusaders got to bell you guys. We already know the Crusaders defense is pretty awful. It has been for quite some time. They got some young guys that are trying to build that up. We knew that the Tigers were going to be able to somewhat score, but we expected the Crusaders to be able to score back with even more firepower. That didn't happen. And anytime you got Marshall Eli out here, a 76 overall tight end out here leading in receiving yards over Elijah Bentley. He's got a $164. What's going on here?
He's got number 45 on. Like, what?
Yeah, I just don't know what's going on there. And that does need to be called out, and we need to see what the Crusaders can do up to this point. 1-2 in the season. Of course, it's just the beginning of the season. You could definitely turn things around, but this was a terrible performance. And things need to be done to get these star players, playing up to caliber. We already, like I said, the defense, we already know it's not grade A. We already know they're going to have their problems this year. But that offense has no reason to be looking like this. And another thing is penalties. One thing I've noticed about next gen is guys can say, oh, it's too many penalties. But no, it's because now you're starting to see which teams are disciplined and which teams aren't. And the Crusaders are definitely a team that is not disciplined. And they had way too many penalties in there that really hurt them. And despite all that, it still was a close game. So that just goes to show you, if they at least had the offense and the penalties going a little better than this, they could have came out on top of this one. And unfortunately couldn't get it done. Wakefield with no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, just not a good look. But that's going to do it for our games to cover for week 3. Let's go ahead and get a look at what's coming up this week. A lot more games this week. Let me go ahead and get out the spreads. Jump
Yeah,
into spreads and
while you
talk
do
about
that,
that.
man,
Mhm.
I know Coach Bacciagalupi likes his chips. Maybe that's what he was missing. Well, there's your chips, man. Now figure some stuff out.
Yeah, chips is definitely
I
in a
just gave you a
plastic
whole
bag going your
warehouse,
way right now.
whole can, whole pallet, whole warehouse full of chips,
Yep, in a
and no
plastic
air in the
bag.
bag.
All right, here we go. All right, so first game, man, one of the biggest rivalries in the RFL. Explorers versus Thunderbirds. You versus the Thunderbirds.
Yeah,
So I mean, this is a huge game, always has been, and the Thunderbirds have definitely been leading more so in this category.
yep.
And you guys were finally able to get your second win in franchise history over them, and you've only been able to beat them once in the regular season, which was I believe back in season 2 when the season first when the NRC was first introduced. But the Thunderbirds have been dominant ever since. You got the best of them there in that NRC conference championship game. It was able to advance you guys to the Relocation Bowl, and now here you are, no coach. LC3's healthy. Do you think you guys are going to pull out the win here? I know you're going to vote for it, but just give your
Yeah.
breakdown of this game. Do you think you guys are going to be able to pull out the win by 3 or more? Well, the
I'm
Thunderbirds are predicted to win though, but
Yeah, I'm gonna try to be as unbiased as I can, but it's a little hard when I'm the coach, obviously. Um, I feel that the defense showed last week that it's very capable of withholding the offense. And one of the things that if you've watched my games against the Thunderbirds, I have never had, except the one horrible sliders game, if you all remember that from 2 years ago, where we had like the slider change midweek, nobody changed it, and then everybody just got really weird that week.
I think that
Uh,
because of the patch. Yeah.
yeah, there was this patch and it just screwed up everything, and I got to be the guinea pig for it. It was awesome. But aside from that game, I have never in my any of the games against the Thunderbirds, preseason, regular season, postseason, ever had a problem stopping the offense. I haven't. It's always been the defense that gets me. That's they at some point they turn up. Maybe I don't outscore the offense by a bunch, but they never go crazy on me. And then that's not to say that they can't. That's one of the things that we've been very good at in Columbus is being able to control the offense. The only thing is always trying to get on top of the defense. And it's very hard to do with a full team, let alone a team that's missing their starting quarterback. I mean, I hope that our guys are solid enough to be able to pull this off, but it's gonna be a big task for sure. And I'm gonna pick my team to win. I have to pick my team to win, but this is going to be the toughest game of the season, I think, for us very easily. I'm pretty sure the next time we play them, we have a full team at least. But this is going to be the biggest test for our next 6 weeks, I think, before Worrell comes back.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you got, Bradley? I guess that's all I can really say, man.
Yeah. And I guess I'll give this my reason. I got the Thunderbird. Thunderbirds technically should win this without Worrell. So
Yeah.
it's hard to choose, but without Worrell, that's why they're favored in this one by the 3. Next game we got River Hogs versus Huskies. Huskies predicted to win this. Do you think they get it done by 4 more points, or do you think they don't?
Yeah, I think they do.
All right. So moving on, Saturday games, looking over here to the right side. Yeah, the Armadillos versus the Bisons. Bisons are predicted to win by 3 or more points.
I'm sorry, Bisons fans, but I'm not buying that game that y'all had like a week or 2 ago. I'm gonna take the Armadillos in this one.
Yeah, it was last week against the Miners, beat them 45-10.
Yeah, I'm not buying into that hype, man. I'm sorry, guys, but yeah, I gotta go Armadillos here until I can see some more consistency out of that Bisons team. I can't do it.
All right, so Steamers versus Monarchs. Steamers have to win by more than a touchdown.
Yes, I have the Steamers in this one. I know they've been having some issues on the defensive side of the ball from what I've seen, but I think that the Monarchs, that while they have a solid team this year and Coach Cam has got them playing better than what they were last year, I do think that this is a game the Steamers sort of get back to the right side of things and get things a little bit more under control for what Coach Jones likes to see out of his team. So yes, I got the Steamers.
All right, great ARC matchup right here. Red Dragons versus Sentinels. Red Dragons favored to win by a touchdown or more.
Man, this is a tough one. I think I gotta go. Man, this is really tough, and the only reason this is really tough is because we saw that game from the Red Dragons where they lost to the Voyagers, and now it's like, is this team still the top flight team that we saw last year, or is there some kind of dent in the shield? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But I'm gonna go with Red Dragons. They haven't proven to me yet that they're any less better than they were last year. They had a rough game so far this year, but I got to give it to Coach Davis and the Dragons, even on the road. So I got them, and I got them covering the spread.
All right, another division rivalry right here. Always great when these two meet, especially all
Mhm.
the hype up from last year. Um, Cougars versus Bulls. Cougars predicted to win by 4 or more.
I mean, this is another tough one too because you look at the teams on paper and it's like, yeah, I gotta choose the Cougars. But the Bulls are always sort of been pesky, especially in the regular season. They don't do a whole lot in the postseason, but they're pretty good in the regular season. But I still am going to take the Cougars to cover the spread because I believe in Mix and the whole squad he's got there. So we're gonna go Cougars in this one.
All right, Lancers versus Wizards. And Lancers predicted to win by 5 or more.
You know what, man? I'm gonna I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm gonna say this is the week that the Wizards bounce back. I think this
Okay.
is the week that something goes their way. They're at home. The Lancers are a solid team. I get it, and they have a good squad as well. But I just have a feeling that what we're seeing out of the Wizards right now is not who the Wizards are. I don't think that they just got horrible over one off season. So I think this is a game that they bounce back from. If I'm not mistaken, this is a divisional matchup, so it's got even more on the line. I got the Wizards at home.
All right, and late night called game here on for Saturday will be the Gunners versus Desperados. Really good game right there.
Yeah.
The Desperados though are projected to win by a field goal or more.
This is another really tough one.
Yeah.
Oh man. I mean, on one hand, it depends like which Gunners team do you see? That's the real question because we've seen, against my team last week, yes, Jabri ran well, but the offensive production outside of Jabri running wasn't very, good. They couldn't establish the passing game that well. They couldn't get DeAndre Cahan going. They couldn't get Ronnie Nickens or Ray Jr. going. But if you look at other games, that offense was just not nonstop. It was unstoppable. But the Desperados, I think I'm going to have to go with the Desperados here, even with Jabri Jackson and the Gunners, just because they've been more consistent. And so, yeah, in that respect, I'm going to go with Desperados at home.
You got them cover. Okay.
Oh,
Covering the
yes.
spread of 3
Yes.
or more.
Yeah, I got them covering the spread.
All right. So moving on to the Sunday slate, Dreadnoughts versus Miners. Another good one right there. Dreadnoughts predicted to win by 4 or more.
Hey, Coach Dunn, if you're still out there, I saw you early in the chat, man. You had a heck of a game last week. I know you fell short, but I'm sorry, man. I gotta go Dreadnoughts here. I think the Dreadnoughts are just they are a contender just as much as anybody else right now in the ARC, and I gotta go with them to cover the spread on the road.
All right. Now here we go. Reload Bowl rematch, as we always like to call it here, from season 1. Big time rivalry. These guys in the ARC East. And it is the Celtic Tigers versus the Bulldogs. Celtic Tigers predicted to win by 4 or more points.
I think I think that the Bulldogs, after last week's meltdown in the fourth, I don't know if I can trust them to come back out and just pretend like nothing happened. And I know the Celtic Tigers are not happy with how some things have gone so far this season for them. So I got to go Celtic Tigers in this one for sure.
All right, you got them by 4 or more?
Oh, yes. Covering the spread too.
Okay. So last day on a Monday, we got the Elks versus Snowhawk. So division rivalry right there. Got Coach O'Brien taking on Coach O'Neill. And yeah, they it's in favor of the Snowhawks by 5 or more.
I gotta go with the Snowhawks here, man. Yes, we saw some nice things from Eric Fisher in his debut, and maybe we will again, but it's still a new quarterback in a new system with a new coach. I know Mike's not like a new coach, but he's new to this team. And the Snowhawks are just, man, this team is every bit of good overall wise as any other team in the league. hands down. And when they play right, they're almost unstoppable too. So I got to go with the Snowhawks in this one to cover the spread. I still think it's going to be a very competitive game. I don't think it's going to be a landslide, but I do see Portland definitely getting the win and covering the spread.
All right, and the final game of the week, Voyagers versus Pioneers, opposite end of the spectrum, just about right here. And Voyagers are predicted to win by more than a touchdown.
Oh, I think I'm okay with going with the Voyagers in this one. And I think y'all know
I don't
they're
want to
going to cover
jinx
the spread.
anything.
Yeah, I think they're going to cover the spread too, a couple of times, maybe 3 times.
All right. Well, all right. That's going to be the schedule recap. Once again, if you haven't bet, remember in the Discord, you can only bet if you're part of the community within the Discord, and you have until. I'm gonna just say you have up until the game because now coaches cannot see what the scores were. So you have all the way up until the game. We were shutting it down earlier on Wednesdays because coaches, like, I'm not saying that we're doing this, but coaches could go out there, tell players what the scores
Now that I
was.
just thought about that, with who we have helping sometimes, do you think we should still allow that though?
What the?
Well, because we have some other people in the file too to help out with stuff,
Yeah, I do have trust in them, but
You know what I'm saying? I just to put for transparency.
Yeah, but the main thing is, I got enough trust in them, and because we did it last week, I was going to cancel some of you guys' bets. I know some of you guys wish I did because only one person won the bets this past week, and that was Joseph Fontanez. But let me bail you guys for that. But yeah, I think we should just still let it rock. I don't see those guys doing that, and yeah, I'm gonna leave it like that.
Works for me.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the top 10 Madden Rankings now.
Boy.
So
here
at
we go,
number
guys.
1, we got the Houston Voyagers, 2 the Desperados, 3 Aviators, 4 Diablos, 5 Bisons, 6 Elks, 7 Snowhawks, 8 Dreadnoughts, 9 Barons, and 10 Cougars. What is your changes up that you feel that this should be?
What? Man, I love this stuff, man. I love this stuff. Okay, one, I can respect the top 4 because they're all undefeated. I can respect that. What are the Bisons doing up here?
They're undefeated.
What are they? I don't care. That's the worst undefeated. Stop it. What are they doing up here? And no, man. The Bisons can't be up here. And I don't know, man. The rest is sort of a landslide at this point. Like, you can go whichever direction you want. There's so many teams at 2-1 right now. Whatever Madden decides this week is better than the other thing, I guess, is the way that they win. But the one thing is, I know the Barons are 2-1, but isn't one of those from a NFL game?
No, the Barons, they shouldn't have taken a loss from an NFL game. They should
No, one of the wins.
Oh, yeah, they got to win. Yes.
So, like, to me, it's like, yeah, you can call me biased. I'm sure Roland will think I'm biased, but like, my 2 wins came from the NRC, and you know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't even know how they are in above me at 2-1, but that's just my team. I know there's other teams out there too, and you could say the same for all the teams based on the right side. You don't know who next week. This whole right side could be completely different. It's just I'll give a pass to the top 4, but the rest is definitely iffy to me, especially number 5. I don't know what that's going on. What's going on there?
Yeah, that's why I know Rob really doesn't like this segment for this part, but like I love it because of course we have our feelings on where we feel teams should be ranking, but of course it don't matter what we think. This is what the game's going to do, and it's just crazy to see what they have now compared to what we feel it's going to be later on down the line in the future.
Bison's out here frauding on everybody.
All right, so let's go ahead and move into our next segment, and that's talking about Everett Bradley, man. So this is the big question, even for you guys in the chat, if you guys want to answer. How many games will Everett Bradley win as a starter until Worrell gets back? I mean, of course, we already just talked about how he was able to lead the Explorers back to the victory with the 20 unanswered points to beat the Gunners on that comeback, 27-23. But I want to ask you here, Bill, how many games do you think he might be able to pull out for you with the games that, of course, Worrell will be sitting out? And also, Do you think that he may be able to be the future guy?
Well, at this point, as you know, we are trying to work with Cunningham, but I'm open to any possibility right now. At this point, this is a wide open situation for our future guy. It could be Bradley, very much so. It could be Cunningham. It could be a guy who's not on the team or even in the league yet. I don't know, but I'm not closing the door on anything right now. And the next, like, I think it's 6 weeks that's still left on his injury. I think is going to be key. Um, it's it might show us that one of these, maybe Bradley himself, needs to be the guy. And if that's the case, then we'll make him such, we'll give him that opportunity. But we're going to need some strong showing. And going off of that, I think a strong showing here would be, I would say, splitting at least. If we had 6 games with him at the starter, I think we got to go 3-3 at the very least.
Mhm.
The reason I'm sort of shortchanging it at 500 is because we play every game on the road up until I think like our bye week or something. We
Yeah.
have like 5 straight road games, so we have 4 more in a row, including this week with the Thunderbirds. So it's going to be a tough stretch, especially for a backup who's obviously not on the same level as Worrell, and it's going to be, it's against good teams too. So if we can go 3-3, I think that's what I'm really looking for. That's, to me, is reasonable. And if we go more than that, it's just shows that maybe this guy has something in him that I didn't see earlier and that I need to, pay attention to more often. But I can see us winning 3 games with him at the starter, and very much so could win 4 if it comes to it. I just don't know if we're going to be going on some undefeated run, considering the schedule we have and the amount of road games we have so far.
So how would you feel if he absolutely clears the floor here and wins every game? Like how
If
what
it
would you feel? What would your point of view be on Everett Bradley then if he actually does that?
if Bradley, and y'all might want to snap the snippet here, because if Bradley goes and gets every win in this little 6 week tryout period, I think as a coach, I have no other option other than to give him the first nod once Worrell is no longer the starter.
Yeah, yeah, that was
And
that was an incredible game, man.
it
Like,
was, and I'm so happy that he played the way he did. And like, man, just to piggyback off it, you guys don't know how weird Bradley played all offseason. It was so strange. Like, I had no doubt in my mind that Cunningham was better than him, even with the overall. But Bradley, just maybe it's just he's got some more poise in him. Maybe he's just a player and not a guy who can practice well. Maybe he just has to be in the moment. I don't know, but it was inspirational to see him come out, and it was such a relief after going through the loss of Worrell right out of the gate, and then uh, the loss of the game that we had, and then to be able to come back and see him just drive this team down the field and find a way for us to win was just amazing to watch.
who should be even the most thankful that he came in and did what he did is Latavius Austin, because I don't think he would
Yes,
have got that second touchdown to get that dev increase if he didn't throw that slant to him, as you saw earlier on these
yeah.
clips for his second touchdown of the game. He needed either 100 yards in that one or 2 touchdowns, and Everett Bradley was able to not only cash out with the comeback, but also get his man's a dev increase to be somebody to build around in the future. That is just great.
Yeah, and the cool thing about that, man, is I it's one of those things where this is a community guy, and you always want to see the guys who come around and who stick to the league and learn to love the league, flourish. And I have a lot of receivers, as some know, and Austin is a guy that we drafted last year in the 4th round. And man, to see how I decided to try to force him into the game plan to be able to get the looks he needed and to see it actually pay off, that's just a good feeling, and I'm happy for him. And who knows, maybe this game right here for him to get this dev increase is the thing that starts his star run in the league, for all we know. And it's great to see
Mhm.
it happen. I'm happy for him, and can't wait to see what he does in this season for the rest of the games.
All right, so you guys already know that we can't do the buck boost on the stream here tonight. As I mentioned earlier in the stream, I know quite a few guys weren't here, but I'll go ahead and do that after the stream sometime later after I have some other meetings and stuff. And we'll try to get that all squared away for you guys. But let's go ahead and get into our final segment here and get done way earlier than we usually do. We should be open for quite a few open questions on the end of this one, as we'll go ahead and get a look at the fun facts with Pat, man. Let me go ahead and find the 2 fun facts that he was able to find out about the RFL for me to read to you guys. So, first one, the fun fact came from Amir Williams. He says, the ARC North and ARC East are the only divisions where all 4 teams have made the playoffs at least once.
Huh. Really?
Yep.
Huh. This is some weird stuff that you guys are finding, man. It's cool. Like, it's different. Just things that you never really thought of, you know?
Yeah. And, of course, you know, we're still working on getting our all-time stats, which, you know, because of the way the league used to be ran then, got to get those. And it's not on cloud, so it's much more difficult to get. But once we get those, I'm pretty sure we're going to have a lot of crazy facts that we'll find out and love to put around. And the last the second fact, the last one that Pat gave to me was one that he found, and this is related to you. So the Thunderbirds have been the best home record team in the RFL, a staggering 32-7 record. And it says this is including NFL and RFL games, though. However, if the Thunderbirds lose to the Explorers Thursday night, they will have a 1-2 record, 1-2 home record in season 6. So, yeah.
Okay, nice. Some more awesome stuff about the Thunderbirds.
So now we can actually talk more about the Thunderbirds on how it's even more difficult to beat them.
We need to talk about them more, guys. You guys hear that? We need to talk about the Thunderbirds even more than we already do.
It's going to be a talking point for your game, man. You're going to have to shut it down because now you're walking in the den, apparently.
Oh, jeez.
All right, so that's it for us and the fun facts from Pat, man. Let's go ahead and talk about – we got to get Pat on here, man. Well, we're going to talk, man. I would love to have you come in here and actually give your fun facts yourself.
Pat, can you talk to people?
Yeah, I'm going to say, if you can hop it, as long as you can get in Discord voice chats, then I can throw you on.
Well, you know, some guys just aren't really into that thing, you know?
Yeah. If not, I'll still announce them.
But that would be cool, you know, to have it's always fun to have extra
personalities, guys out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that though, Pat, because you've been coming up with some great facts as of late.
I like Pat right now. He just said I can break him. You're right. I'll break you.
All right, so let's go ahead and take these questions before Bill turns into Ivan.
Yeah. Ivan Drago. If he dies, he dies.
And now he's starting to scare me out here in the booth.
You ever seen that movie?
Yeah, of course I've seen it.
Hey, I'm just asking.
All right, so it says, not so fun fact. Demetrius George has not got his official RFL touchdown yet. And yep, I know about that. And has been short by 1 to 2 yards 6 times. That is a fact. He's still eluding from that touchdown.
Got 2 words for you. Get good.
Get in the end zone, man. I mean, he was close, man, against the Sentinels. Literally was about an inch away. He's going to get one. He's going to get one.
Yeah, Pat, we basically run the podcast. So obviously Smitty's got his Stream Deck up and all that and the PlayStation, but we actually are talking right now through the Discord itself. We're just in a separate chat that nobody else can see so that nobody can come in and, you know, crash the party.
Not actually. You know, I'm sitting right next to Bill. It's all good. It's like, nah.
Yeah, we got a whole booth. We got a radio station. We got room service.
Got it all, man.
Booth service.
Where the shorties at? It's like, nah. Well, so any other questions? Let's see what we got here. We definitely got some time. We'll close the questions at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, unless we get into questions, man. Nobody's. We've gone so long without being able to really do much for questions. I think everybody forgot how to do it.
Yeah. See, somebody asked about the PS5 Daddy League. So this is more so for the coaches. Unfortunately, it looks like the PS5 is not allowing it to sync with the Daddy Leagues, and it's not a Daddy Leagues problem. It's a Madden problem. For some reason, they don't know what's going on. The app is not allowing the PS5 to come up on a companion app to be ported over. And so until that's fixed, until they handle that situation, unfortunately, we will not have the PS5 up to date on Daddy League. So this might be this more than likely maybe a season where we won't have stats available. So what I can try to implement is probably going through on podcasts, later on in the future, maybe the next one, looking at stats and stuff like that. And then as for coaches, you guys try to get with me on like a video call, so that way I can actually, if you want things done with your team, you want to see what I'm doing, and you can, then make sure that you get in the call with me. But another thing about some coaches, some of you guys got to step your game up, man. Just because we're not on the PS4 does not mean don't do anything in the 4. Do your stuff in the 4 first, please. Stop coming into the meeting for me to set up your team, and you don't know, and you're on the spot thinking about what you want to do. That needs to be done before you even hop on a call with me. Get it done in the file, get it done in the game. Let's hop in the video chat. I'll show you the screen, and let's get this stuff done. So that's a message for the coaches. So make sure that this gets out to all the coaches. All right, for the coaches who don't know, somebody, Frankie, I know you like to put the news out there when you can too, man. Hey, put out there for the coaches that they better make sure they have their stuff done in the 4 as well.
Yeah, knock it off.
Yeah, and then another thing is I'm gonna have to start I haven't had the time yet. Oh shoot, what the heck was that?
What'd you do?
Something hit me in the back. But
what? You guys
pause. But yeah, I had look, I lost my whole train of thought. What did I just say?
Was that a ghost?
I don't know what it was. Felt like something shifted me.
Whoa.
I'm in the basement, guys. I don't know what's going on here. Might
we
be
got Casper over here.
Yeah, Casper. But gotta chill out, man. But dang, forgot what I was about to say.
Oh, that's
yeah. But I gotta make sure that I send a message to forget it. I forgot. That just threw me completely off. Yeah,
something's going on right now.
Yeah.
Who just touched Smitty?
Like lost memory. What's going on? Any more questions out there?
Amnesia ghost.
Yeah.
Sultan is at Redbubble merch just posted in the Discord. Yes.
Yeah. So hey, we've been doing great. Shout out to the RFL community, man. I wish I was Redbubble making the profit that we've been able to make. We only get 20% of what is paid for from the merch, but like, man, what was it, over $800 already in less than a week?
Yep.
We've
800. Made, I think 40 sales so far in the week. We've got, I think, about $800 in total money made, and off of that, we've made an average of 18 to 21%.
That is dope. That is dope right there, guys. And this is just going to continue to grow and get better and better. You guys shout out to C. Beazle. Look at C. Beazle, big shout out for making these designs and everything, man. He is the GOAT designer. That's the reason why he's the lead designer here in the league, man. Mm-hmm. Look, all the stuff he's been able to bring. We got something else. I'm not going to say anything on it, but all I'm going to say is, well, you guys know about this. So all I'm going to say is, you guys know we've been trying to figure out what to do with cards for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Wait till you guys see this card game that we're about to come up with. You guys are going to definitely want to buy these cards because it's going to be intertwined with a lot of things, and the cards are fire. The cards are fire.
Yo, why do we keep getting all these dudes in here like doing crazy stuff on the channel?
I don't know what this guy is. Fabio?
Yeah, this has happened though in the last couple of days. Like it's just all of a sudden out of nowhere we're getting these guys coming in saying this stuff, and and during the game. It was I sort of let it go because I didn't know, maybe these guys just spoke a different language. That's cool, that's awesome.
And Bessie Bees is like, man, dropping it's all good, man, because guys knew it was coming for the most part anyway. I didn't give the details, but when they actually see all the stuff that they're going to be able to do with the cards and stuff that we're talking about and everything, like, yeah, that's what's going to turn it up. So they knew that this news was coming, but when it actually gets here, the stuff that we're going to do, dudes are going to be on it, man. So I didn't give out all the details, but I just wanted to let them know that, the card game is coming.
And I didn't want to forget about Ashlyn Berry's question up here. He says, if there was a mod that had all RFL teams to make up a 16-game team schedule, would you use it? Man, if you only knew. We're trying to do that, to be honest.
We're trying to do 432.
We had the whole thing planned. We had me and Beazle work tirelessly making uniforms, and we had Rob was helping with getting everything else organized, like the mechanics of it, the fields, the stadiums, and all of the extra stuff, like the video screens on. We had everything planned to make the RFL into our own thing, have all the teams in a file. And then Frosty got abandoned by the mod team, so we didn't really have much of a choice except to stick with what we knew. So this is where we're at.
Yeah, and honestly, this season was supposed to be our new uniforms, logos, everything. It was supposed to be season
Yep.
6 that this was broken in, and unfortunately, of course, the mod didn't drop. Still have not heard a word on Madden 21 being able to be modded yet. But hey, I'll tell you one thing: these guys, I'm just hoping that they get Madden 21 before the college series gets here, because unfortunately, if the college series gets here and that's not made, we don't have the time to wait on that, and we're gonna have to do the college series on Madden 20 again, unfortunately. But yeah, 21 is definitely, you can definitely edit the settings of a game enough to where it's definitely going to play out a lot more like college. Like it definitely is. I already got the college series settings for Madden 21, so like I'm telling you, I'm praying right now that they get a mod for Madden 21 on PC, because if that happens, the college series is going to be beyond lit if that happens.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing too that sucks, because we also have to use the mod for this college series, and we've always, haven't been able to bet on the most current game, but we've always at least been able to be on the runner up game, the game that just got replaced, and we don't even know if we can do that this year. We might be stuck on 20 again. We don't know.
Yeah.
It's just
unfortunate. At least it's the
sucks.
it does. At least it's the technically the latest college game. So we are on the up to date college game that you can play. But like, man, I would definitely love to have Madden 21 gameplay from the PC. It might be it might be like current gen though. It will definitely be like current gen, unfortunately. But I like it still would be dope, like just the way that it plays out, because I know that the scores and everything would not be anything like it was last year, because we that's the reason why we had those sliders issues to begin with, was because it was hard to try to have that game put up the points like a real college game should, so but this game right here, man, I hope that they put that 21 out soon,
And
we're
then
trying
just
to make
to
our own.
answer a few of these questions that just came in, because they're pretty simple. No, it's nothing to do with the next gen, Christian, because this is nothing to do with EA. This is there's a whole community of guys who figure out how to do the Frosty editor and do the modding, and they just abandoned it this year. It wasn't nothing to do with EA. We can't use EA college football because that's not a thing yet, and it won't be for quite some time. And Coach Back, we're not going back like 2 generations of console to play NCAA 14.
Yeah, definitely not playing NCAA
Even if it's
14
revamped. Like,
or the
sorry guys,
revamp.
but
Not
we
doing that.
don't sit in the past like that. We want to stay on the most current stuff we can, because that's the like it or not, it is the best stuff available.
Yeah. So yeah, we still got some time here, so
Yeah.
keep the
Come
questions
on,
going,
guys.
man. Keep the
Give
questions
us some
going.
questions. We don't have this
Ask
time all
anything
that often.
RFL related, man.
Anything you guys want to know. Smitty's got a ghost in his house.
Thank God he
Whatever.
left.
What if it was the ghost of squirrels past?
I hope not. I got something for that one. Got something this time.
Is that what happened, Lito? I think I remember Rob saying that now. The guy got hired by EA.
He didn't get hired by EA. He got hired by somebody, another game company. Because I remember I asked us, at first Rob told me it was EA or something, and then Rob said, no, it wasn't EA. When he looked into it, it was somebody else.
Early MVP frontrunners, McCall wants to know. That's tough.
Yeah, at this point, it's tough. I could tell you who defensive player of the year is looking, at least.
Yeah,
So
McCoy.
Adam McCoy.
Yeah, Adam McCoy has been on fire. I don't know who to even mention for MVP.
Yeah, not at all yet.
What is this, man? My gosh.
Oh, good.
Thank you, Lito. Thank you,
just
CP.
not short, no attention. It's easy to block that too. So
yeah, I know. I'm gonna have to see if I can get with some of the people that I know that do this and see if this is like just happening all over the place or not. Because this just seems weird how it just picked up out of nowhere. But anyway, who is currently leading? Oh, what will you think about the Bisons if they win versus the Armadillos? I guess it depends on the way they win. I don't know how to explain that. I mean, I'm not going to say if they beat the Armadillos that they're all of a sudden a contender. I might be impressed, but
Mhm.
it also depends on how they win. If they barely skate by because of some weird stuff happening, it's not going to be a whole lot of positivity. But who knows? If they have another big win like they did last week, then I'd probably have to reconsider my thoughts from what I had this week.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see. I wouldn't be shocked if the Bisons win. Honestly, I
Yeah,
think both of these teams are just about in the same boat. I mean, but the Armadillos are kind of the better team. But I actually, I felt like the Bisons, the way that they look. I understand that the 45-10 game kind of looked like it. Even though it was a great win and everything, we kind of already had a hunch that on current gen things just seriously got out of hand on that. But I I wouldn't be surprised if they win. But I know that the Armadillos are also a solid team
hmm
as well, so that could go either way.
and then that's actually a good question from Christian too. So the PC Madden, is it more like next gen or PS4? I'm pretty sure it's still looking like
Yeah,
PS4,
it's
isn't it?
PS4. Unfortunately, they didn't make like a next gen PC version, so like
Yeah.
it would play out like
And
current gen.
and that's something that we all have to sort of come to the understanding of too with this situation is the 5 is, from what I've heard anyway, is such a step up that it's starting to be comparable with a PC. Obviously, not in every capability. There's much more PCs can do in different areas, but in
Mhm.
terms of just general gaming, they're getting so good with how they can make the processors and stuff and all the stuff they need to be able to fit in these consoles now that I would not totally be surprised if PC gaming takes somewhat of a hit because of the way these consoles are starting to get made. There's if they don't have to make a third title for a third different console, that's a big thing for a company to be able to put those assets somewhere else. So that's something we have to be ready for too, is because EA went plenty of years without supporting PC at all. So
Yeah.
it's we have no clue what's going to happen. And if they didn't put one out this year for PC, I always have to wonder if they don't plan to. Maybe they won't at all. I don't know. This might be the year they say, you know what, we got the PS5 now. We're just going to focus on that and the Xbox.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody wants
So
to see the jerseys.
yeah, you're not gonna be able to see those, man, till we're able to actually put that in the game. Or just know that they're fire. All right,
Yeah,
got 2 more
obvious.
minutes just
Obvious.
about.
Do you think? Do you think the Tigers will keep Billy Johnson as the starter or draft a quarterback in the draft?
We'll have to just see how that goes. Billy Johnson is young. I really don't see a major need for the Tigers to have to get a quarterback. So we'll have to see how he plays out throughout the year. And if it's looking pretty bad, then we'll see what that is. But I doubt that they take a quarterback, or that I look to take a quarterback for them if they're still coachless.
Yeah, and and Johnson's going to struggle. Just like I said before with Gino, these guys are young; they're going to struggle. I I would hate to see his career derailed before it even started, just because he had one down year. So who knows? We'll see what happens. But I wouldn't count on Billy Johnson just yet, just because has a couple of picks or something, or maybe isn't the most flashy quarterback yet. He's got time.
And one thing I'm gonna say here to the RFL fans, man, and I've noticed this with our guys. A lot of dudes expect dudes to be just about perfect in order to be good.
Well,
Like if a
yeah,
dude can't win
yeah,
a game, already they're getting thrown under the bus. Oh, he's not this, he's not. Man, dudes are not going to win every game. There's going to be some good game plans, going to be some bad games by the player, but it doesn't mean that the player is bad. So like, in certain situations, you may see a player, full, like even Jabri Jackson. I give him a lot of crap, when guys try to compare him to Dre and everything, but he honestly he did cost them the game against you guys running. If he had no choice but to, you know. But there was definitely, he could have took better care of the football, could have took better care of himself, should have slid. He messed up. That was his fault they lost that game, especially because of that fumble. But we already know he's a great player. We already know that he's a guy you got a game plan or you're going to lose the game. So, that's one thing I just want to talk about in terms of players. Like even Billy Johnson, let's also get in our heads. Like if you look at the rest of our quarterbacks in the league compared to him, like, yeah, he's not gonna look as good as those other guys. As long as he's managing the team and he looks like he's on the right path, then that's a guy you can build around in the future. You don't have to come out there throwing the ball like the best guys out there.
Look at what Reed just put in the chat. He's trying to like sneak in a. He's trying to sneak in that Merritt's performance was okay.
Oh,
Oh, come on, man! You can't.
now,
You
even
can't
with
not
Merritt,
show
it's the
up.
same thing. It's the same thing kind of with Merritt too, though. But
I know,
to
but
a
it's just
lesser
funny.
extent, we did say one thing that is known about Timmy Merritt, bro, is that that's his game style, and the guys got to understand certain players' game style. Just like how I like to give Justin some flack about Reed Wagner. Reed Wagner is an elite quarterback. Okay, he definitely is one of the top quarterbacks in the league, but we know he has an interception problem. But that's what comes with it.
Pop up in the chat.
Well, Justin knows this, but he just tries to throw other quarterbacks in this category. But Reed Wagner is definitely an elite guy. But you just got to know what comes with him, especially like even scrambling quarterback like Tom Wilson. He could be a game changer as well. But he runs the ball too much. He's not the most accurate. Like not everyone's going to be perfect. There's going to be a downfall somewhere to each player.
Lito said he almost sniped Jay instead of some of the spammers.
Man.
Poor Jay.
All right. Well,
what does Chumley have to do to lose the nickname? So Chumley's his name,
Yeah,
bro. That ain't a nickname.
Yeah, he's not gonna. Yeah, that's his. Are you talking about the Bumley, or are you talking about Chumley as his name? 'Cause his name's not going to change. But Bumley, if you're talking about that nickname, that's sticking.
Yeah, sorry, bud.
Even when he's good, dudes are going to say Bumley with the touchdown. Like it's a compliment at the same time in a bad. I guess what's it called? I can't even find a word for it. It's disrespect and whatever at the same time. I don't know. Let me leave this alone because I can't find the word still. All right. Well, in that case, going to go ahead and close it out, guys. A little bit of a shorter podcast. Appreciate you guys coming through. This under 2 hours? I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Got it done. Appreciate you guys coming through. As always, it's your boy Smitty, RFL Commissioner and play-by-play commentator with Bill. And, man, games start up next week. I'll leave the schedule here for you guys to see. And until next time, I'm out. Peace.